Welcome back to Dirty Works. I know it's been a while and this is not an MXR. This is my R5, which is my favorite shooter so far that I've had and had the privilege to shoot. It's currently got 43K on it. It is the main gun that I end up using every weekend. It does also have the Vortex core in it, which I've had for, I would say, the majority of its lifespan has been with the Vortex inside. So this core has, and you can't even tell there's any wear on it, which is awesome. The bolt is with the Type 3 hard coat ammo. There's no wear on it whatsoever. So I don't even know how you would even tell. Like I'm sure I could pass this as being brand new. There's not a single scratch or mark on it. But core is fantastic. I really wouldn't separate it. I think the stock core is great too. But when I did pick this up, this is, if you don't know, a collaboration between Method and Twister. And that is the Vortex core, they ended up calling it. There was a pretty limited release initially. It was like 200 or 250 of them went out on the first wave, and then I think another 200 of them went out on the second wave. It definitely increases like efficiency and FPS. Shot is a little bit different too. Still feels kind of like an R5, but somewhere in between an R5 and a CS3. Made it similar to an MXR, but the MXR definitely has the softest feeling shot. I did get rid of the MXR. I actually traded that for a CS3, which, if you've heard me talk about the MXR, the reason I got the MXR is because I don't really like the shot on the CS3. I still really don't. The R5 is my preferred shooter. It's what I'll pull out of my bag every game. This is now my backup instead of the MXR. The MXR is, I didn't like the problems that I was having with it, and I just didn't want to keep dealing with it, and I didn't want to keep buying things to try and fix it. The mech frame being $400 was kind of crazy to me. I really had no interest in running the mech, and like I do want a mech framed gun, but with that gun and the issues that I had, or the issues kind of that everyone has, like my gun shot fine when it was shooting. It just had this weird kind of chuffing thing, and I couldn't figure out if that was the solenoid. I assume it was the solenoid, but regardless, I did get rid of the MXR, so I figured I would make another video of my favorite gun. I've had this longer than the MXR. I've had it since, well, I got it before Christmas, so. Actually, it just recently won. Arc did this. Arc Anodizing did the anno here, and it did recently win, to my surprise, but it's a beautiful gun. I don't plan on ever getting rid of it. It's my favorite gun that I have. I'm in love with the looks of it. It's his Nebula anno. I believe you can still probably purchase it directly off of his shop Arc Direct website. It is a gloss, but I do also have it wrapped in PPF. So, like, it's not perfectly done by any means. You can see there's, little gaps there. I don't have this portion of it covered. The trigger is starting to come a little undone. I did a much better job on the CS3, to be honest. Like, the CS3 is significantly cleaner, especially in the trigger area. You can't even see that it's wrapped, but it is. Goes from edge to the top. This whole piece is wrapped. And it comes around to the sides. Did these little corner pieces right here. You can see, like, up in the front where this piece gets there's like a bubble there. But the CS3 was done, this was the second time, obviously, I've done this, so I learned a little bit from doing the R5. I'm going to do the R5 over again, but one of my dog hairs is stuck in there. Here's, like, for instance, the ASA. Pretty clean on the ASA, too. Can barely tell, you know, there's a little overhang right there. But pretty clean. So the R5 was the first iteration, so it's, of course, showing more wear as well as time goes on. I will have to redo it. I'm going to redo it. I plan on redoing it. But it requires a full breakdown and then hours and hours of time. I mean, it's very labor intensive. I wouldn't say it's the most difficult thing in the world, but very labor intensive. Anyway, a little off topic. Back to the R5. I have been running this, like I said, constantly. It's my main shooter. It's what I pull out of my bag every game. It's what I prefer to shoot. I haven't felt a gun that shoots better than this. I did like the way that the R5 was super, super, super soft. The MXR, but it didn't, you know, I don't know what it was about it, and call me a bad paintball player, but there's some, I just understand the R5. I know when I pull it out, where it's shooting. I don't really have to think about where I'm aiming it, if that makes sense. Like I just point it and it shoots exactly where I think in my head. So the MXR for me was always Kentucky windage. I don't know why. I have no idea why. I could never place where it was going, and I had to kind of figure it out on the fly. I'm gonna just get these soaked in a little bowl of soapy water. Normally I would just clean those off with some isopropyl, but it's been a little while since I've done like a deep cleaning on this, so I really want to get everything pretty good. So the grips are just going in a bowl of soapy water, and I'm just gonna let them chill in there, and then I'll scrub them out. That's all. That's all that's going on there off camera right now. I've got a little toothbrush that I use. I use this for also soft goods, like headbands and stuff. I highly recommend a good toothbrush in your arsenal. And then, of course, microfibers, isopropyl alcohol, all the good stuff that you would come to love and know all these years. Just grabbing some isopropyl. Just going to give this gun a good wipe down. Gross. Crazy amount of paint ingress. Most I've ever seen, honestly, on this gun. Must have been like right inside the or inside the guard there. All right. Clean off the debris back here. What is that? Paint? Grease? What is this? Oh, anno. Cool. Just making sure. Sometimes it's hard with the anno on here. Some of it looks like dirt, debris, or specks of grease or something. Nicks. But she minty. Pop the batteries out. And then, generally speaking, I'll work my way down from the bottom up. I presume, I mean, there's a ton of R5 videos out there. So I presume you guys have probably seen this, but I figured, you know, it's been a while since I made a video. I wanted to make another one. This is kind of just like fun for me. I like teching the paintball guns. I like taking them apart. I like looking at them, working on them. I just enjoy it. It's kind of cathartic. The also exciting thing, another reason why I, to be honest, picked up the CS3 was because I have heard for quite some time and now seen with my own two eyes that there is going to be a twister method vortex. I don't know if that's going to be the name of it, but they're making essentially this for the CS3. Obviously it's different. It's a gamma drive, so is going to look, and actually I've seen it. It does look different. Looks really cool. It's not red, it's gold and black. And they made some cool changes to it. I really wanted to shoot it, but he didn't have it. He didn't have it full. And I didn't really want to ask. You know, I just felt weird about asking. But then, you know, I was thinking about asking, and then I found out that it was missing a piece just by looking at it. Like, I was taking it apart and looking at it. And I was like, oh, it's missing a piece. And he was like, yeah, you just left it. So they just left it behind. They didn't feel like bringing it. So I couldn't have shot it anyway. But I was like, hey, can I just toss that in my CS3 and go play a couple rounds with it? They were up at where it was OSG for, it was called Planet Eclipse Day. And I thought it was a great event. There was a Planet Eclipse tech booth. Granted, I work on my guns, like, I don't know. But there was a Planet Eclipse booth was there. Twister booth was there. And then they had like a whole, you know, contest where, or not contest, but I guess, you know, they had different categories where everybody was voting on to rate. Wow, that is disgusting. What is that? Where you would rate, everybody was rating either individual markers or collections. So there was multiple categories. There was best collection, best spool, best poppet, best poppet, best spool, best ETHA or EMEC, and then like most unique or obscure piece of gear, which ended up going to Twister for having essentially one of these Techna trigger. This is a method trigger, but a Techna carbon fiber, forged carbon fiber trigger in, and the thing was like, I mean, I can't even display really on camera how big it was. It was really the size of the mat. I would say it went from one end to the other. It was, you know, about that tall and then thick, you know. He said it was a good couple grand worth of carbon to make the trigger, and they ended up winning that for like the most unique piece of obscure gear or whatever. So that was like pretty funny. I actually, like I said, ended up winning best spool. I was super surprised. I only entered this in, I mean, not as a joke, but just, you know, I just put it in there because I wanted to put it on, you know, in display. I think it's a beautiful marker. There was so many beautiful, awesome paintball guns and collections there that I did not expect to win, just because the competition level was incredibly high. So, you know, I was super humbled and, you know, happy to have won that. And here's the Planet Eclipse Day OSG Best in Show Best Spool. So I won in Best Spool category. Like I said, there was 6. Yeah, and I wasn't expecting it, but it was awesome, and it made the day just so much cooler. It came with also winning like a marker stand, so I can display this. I actually ended up already having one, so now I can display both my CS3 and this. So it was just a super cool day. It was like very appreciative. Like I said, I wasn't expecting to win, so that was really cool. And yeah, I just thought it was like a really cool event that they put on. It was great talking to people in the industry and just kind of seeing what's going on and just talking about upcoming things and, just all really cool, exciting stuff. So if you're ever in the area or can, plan on it, I'm sure they're going to do it again next year. I hope to go back and make it again myself because I just thought it was like a really cool experience. They had, of course, all different games that we were playing. You had to be playing with a Planet Eclipse gun to play with everybody that was in that specific group, and then they did, modern versus old and spool versus pop it, and just tons of like fun games and matches. It was a great day all around. They did raffles and stuff too. It was just, I thought it was really well put on. The food at OSG is great, so ended up having a great meal when I was out there too. Highly recommend that if you ended up. This is too big, too small. I think it's a 10. I always think it's a 10 on this one. No, it's not. 5/16. So I highly recommend it if you're ever. What is happening right now? 3/8. Okay. I know it's very common to stick an Allen through there. I used to do that as well, but I noticed that it mars the corners, or it's a circle. There's no no licking. Sorry, gotta keep my dog from licking himself. He's got hot spots right now. I ended up noticing that it mars the inside edges of the circles, so I opt to. There's also flat sides on the opposing to use a 3/8 wrench. And you're just gonna unscrew this. This just pops right out. I haven't done this super recently, so it's nice to see that it stays well for, I would say, a long time. I don't think this is something that you need to do quite regularly, so I'll probably trim down the amount of times that I do this. I used to do this quite often. I haven't done it in a while since then, so it has been a minute. The other reason why I like wrenches here, especially this mini wrench set that I got. Don't think it's this one. I think it's bigger. I don't remember if it's 10 or not. I think this one's the 10. 3/8 and 10. Yeah, okay. And then Allen in the bottom of this. This is really the only way I've been able to find that I can get these apart. And then you just twist in opposite directions. And the important thing here, as you can tell, I have attempted to use pliers and it just, they slip and slide and then they end up marring this, which, hurts, pains me. What you find in here is your reg seat. Now, the first time you probably pull this out will probably be quite annoying to finesse out of there, but I keep mine, healthy. So what I do is I give it a little bit of grease just to keep it so it's like not dried out. And then also while you're there, just take a quick look down inside, make sure your spring's good, make sure this little plastic bobber is good. This is what your air purges out of, or how your air purges. All right. And then, like I said, I'm just going to give it the tiniest amount. Like I'm not talking O-ring levels of grease here. This is, just getting it shiny so it's not dry. Don't want it to dry out. I do also tend to flip and rotate this a lot, so just to make sure it's kind of wearing evenly on both sides, which I'm going to do right now as well. All right. A little bit more. This is also a sealing surface, so, you know, just want to make sure that this is healthy. You will, I'm sure, at some point have to replace them. I think that a big problem with, like I said, they just make it nice and shiny. It's not O-ring levels of grease. It's just healthy. It's like skin. Lotion it. I don't do that, but you should. I think that's a big problem with reg seats, and I think that's why reg seats tend to just disintegrate, because nobody ever gives it a little shine up with grease, you know? Nobody ever gives it some lotion. Got to keep that thing healthy. Looks so healthy. Also, so much easier to take out. All right, just tighten that back up. You know, if you know me, I like to start from the bottom and kind of work my way up. So I'll take care of this ASA, get this thing all sorted, get it put back in, and then I'll move up and on into the solenoid, take the gun apart, and hit that up. Drop back in there. You don't want to go in too far with that, honestly. This is for your pressure. Find like around there is around 280, give or take. You're about at the end. Now, when you put it back in, you have to thread it, or else it will just shove all the way back up to the top. So you have to start threading it back in as you're coming back into the ASA, but that's also not really a big deal. Just remember to, if you don't do that, that will just push all the way back up and you'll be shooting ridiculously hot. So a lot of pressure going through the gun at that point, and you'll be shooting like 360, something like that. Like to just do a, visual inspection of everything there, everything in the gun, just to make sure everything's going well. I haven't taken this apart in a while, so I kind of want to. You know what's funny is you can pop this off without anything on the CS3. I did it by accident. Well, make sure you don't lose your little air filter. I guess I'll take those out and put them over to the side right now. That happened to me on the field with that CS3. I went to degas my gun and it just went flying. It was, I'm lucky that people had seen it because they all witnessed kind of where it went. So I was able to just quickly find the pieces and snap it back on. So it wasn't a huge deal, but something, I guess, to be aware of, at least that I experienced. I'm just going to clean this up in here. I keep this greased. It helps with airing it up and down. Makes everything just a smooth action. As you can see, it does do something. So you can pull this pin out. If you want to, you have to pull off the O-rings on one of the sides. Then you can push it out through the other end. I don't know the scenario and or reason why you would have to do that, but it's something that you can do. My purge hole is a little bit covered, so it makes my gun gas out a little odd. Now to remove the pin, which I don't normally do, but I'm going to in this case scenario, to press it in, grab the appropriate sized Allen, and it fits in just ever so slightly. Do I not have the appropriate sized Allen for this? seemed like the appropriate size Allen key. Really like to take that out. I can't. Okay, so I guess that's why I'm going to have to take this apart. I really want to take this off, to be honest. But it's not, just don't lose it. Like that. Oh, there it is. Okay. Like, as I say to do it. So like I said, that's the only thing that's holding it in. And I guess you need to do that to get the clearance so that you can push this all the way in and get an Allen in here. I've never taken this out, but I feel like after 40K shots, this is probably the time when I should be doing it. There are O-rings in here, to the best of my knowledge. Come on. Okay. I think it's all the way unscrewed. Is something. There we go. All right. I was very gently pulling on that. Yeah, so there's an O-ring in there. There's an O-ring on the outside and an O-ring on the inside. It's still pretty well lubed, honestly. It's something that I thought about recently. I just did it on the CS3, and I figure, honestly, it really doesn't hurt. So all I'm doing is I'm just pushing through the front. You'll see the little pin pop out. Just gonna clean that up. Nice, cool, clean looking pin. This little O-ring. Just gonna clean in here. A little dirty, nothing crazy. Well, that's way dirtier. Okay. This little ring. All right. Now I like to hit both sides of this, so I like to pull the O-ring out entirely, grease the underneath of it before I place it in. Place that in. And again, is this something that is necessary frequently? No. No. But if you plan on owning your marker for, a couple of years, I would say doing this at least once a year will keep all of your seals healthy. You'll barely ever have to replace an O-ring. I mean, like, O-rings are easily replaceable, right? But you just put some grease on them, lotion the skin a little bit, keep them alive and healthy, you won't have any issues with it. Rarely will you have any issues with it. I won't say won't. I know there's a lot of rambling going on in here, but it's not really a review. I'm just kind of doing maintenance and talking about it. I love that R5 though. There's nothing. I haven't found anything that I prefer more. MXR sat in the bag. CS3 sits in the bag. LV2 sits in the bag. I will say the LV2 has a great shot, but the Ergos are just, ugh. Ergos are not it. All right. Then we're just going to reverse back, put everything back in. Potential for that to pop the O-ring out, so just hold it. You can also grease the pin. I did put enough grease though, so it's not something I'm concerned about. I'm just going to pop that all the way back through to the back end, just so I have enough space again for the Allen. I'm going to put a little bit extra grease on this before I throw it back in. It was pretty heavily greased, so something that you don't really want to deal with often, so throw a bunch of grease on it and forget it. Seems like was the motif there. I'm going to do the same thing. Back in. Start threading. There we go. I'm going to make that good and tight. And now for, I've never had to deal with this, so I don't imagine this will be fun or enjoyable getting this O-ring back on, but let's see. Oh, kind of. I can do that. Yeah. Ayo. Oh, pin comes back out, back in, out. Nice. Feels like a much smoother action than what it was doing prior. So that's what we were looking for. It definitely needed that. It's not something that needs to be done, like I said, often or regularly, but after 40, 50, it's something I think you should start to look at, thinking about doing at the very least. All right, let's get this greased and put back in so we don't have to deal with it. There was one more thing I was just thinking about. Oh, as I was saying with the little pin, what I end up doing with this is just scooping little bits with a pick, because it's difficult to get the grease on this. I guess you can pull them and do that, but who wants to pull these out all the time? Not me. Just again, nice healthy bit, helps it slide around, stay nimble in this little joint, keeps your ASA and your pin good. We'll just do everything we can to keep the gun in as good a shape as possible. This is really for myself. This is, I think, just good owner, maintenance. I think knowing what, it's kind of like a car, knowing what you got under the hood, how to change the oil, working on it yourself. That way, if you ever encounter an issue, it's usually pretty quick to troubleshoot. And it also really prevents issues from occurring in the first place in general. That's the best thing about it. And we're just going to put the pin back on. It's a little dirty. I'm just going to clean this up, damn it. A little bit dirtier than my thumb can handle. This gun looks fantastic. And it was just marvelous. Here's the, anno underneath. There's nothing on this piece. Just really beautiful. I mean, really, look at this. It's just gorgeous. He did a phenomenal job with this. And again, wasn't expecting to win, but I I get a ton of compliments on this gun all the time. People are just constantly saying that it's what a beautiful marker it is, and I feel the same way about it. I think it's beautiful. I fucking love it, which is why I spent the amount that I did on it, even though, you know, unnecessary, but I think it's a spectacular gun. I think he did a phenomenal job with it. I'm happy to have it. Oh, I definitely just scratched that, didn't I? For some reason, I feel like my spring is jacked up. I never have good time putting this back on. If that is a mark, which I can't tell, it kind of actually just looks like, yeah, no, I'm trying to feel it. Oh, no, I'm good. It just slipped out of here. All right, perfect. That I don't care about. It's just a little metal pin. Clean it up, though. Oh, nice. Try to give everything a wipe down, you know, get everything clean, threads, make sure you get old grease out, old oil, any debris. My dog's fur freaking constantly, you know, stuff like that. And every seal is going to get grease. It just keeps them all healthy, keeps them from dry rotting out on you. That's really what you're looking to avoid, cracking and dry rot. That's the only way any of these are gonna fail on you. Cracking and dry rot. So, only way to prevent that is grease. Yeah. Last but not least, we're just going to grease these 3 O-rings. Oh, there we go. I'm just pushing it in myself. It's fine. Actually going to World Cup, which I'm really excited about this year, down in Florida. I've never been able to go to an NXL event, even though I should have gone, I think, to the one that was Garden City. Was it New Jersey? I think it was in New Jersey or Connecticut. There was one that was pretty close to me that I feel like I should have made the arrangements to go to, but unfortunately I didn't. But, you know, it's cool. I feel like going to World Cup is, if you're going to go to one, you know, might as well have World Cup be the one. Will it be the last event I go to? No, I'm not going to say it's the last event or the only event I'm ever going to go to. But if it happens to be the only event that I can ever make it to, then I'll be happy with it being World Cup. So I'm not too sad about it. Plus, go down, see my mom. She lives down in Florida, so kill a couple birds with one stone. Take a couple days off of work, go play some paintball, buy some enemy shit. Yeah, I'm sorry. I am a huge enemy fan, so I'm sorry for anybody that hates on that. I know gear is gear, but, you know, ammo is not necessary, so I get it. A gun is a gun, but we all have our things. I definitely like a lot of the enemy stuff that they be putting out. Putting out a lot of good stuff lately. There's a little more on the threads there than I wanted, so I'm just gonna remove that. Sorry, it's off the camera. all I'm doing is just threading down the HPA pin. Like I said, and that's just so it, I think, like stock from Planet is all the way out flush, you know, to wherever that is for you. So that's there, and then 2 turns in. 1, 2. And that should be, you know, around 290, 300, I believe. So we've got that done. Spring. Only thing left to do. Did I miss? Nope, got that whole thing. Only thing left to do is going to be the piston. So we'll just get this re-greased. I'm just going to check inside. Yeah, just grease. Everything's good in here. Make sure any debris is gone. For that, for me, it's usually my dog fur or cat fur. Grab a good healthy amount here for this one. I try to put a pretty decent amount on this, just because it's, you know. I'm not really a big fan of greasing anything heavily, so. Alright, then you got your whole assembly. Just gonna take that back up in. Seats back down. You'll just take your 2 screws and back in. I like to get that just like snug, and then when I have both down there, then I kind of firm up and, you know, tighten up each one respectively. So I'll tighten this one up first and then go back to the other one and then come back to this one. Just so there's an equal amount of tension, torsion, tension. Yep, both good and tight. All right. From this point, we're gonna separate the grip frame. Don't know why, but I tend to start up here. Also, if you're ever loose, your grip, these are loose on you, just tighten them up. I use, oh, that one needs to be tightened. Recommend Loctite if you're having an issue with this. It's not something you ever have to take apart, so I wouldn't use red Loctite, but throw a little blue Loctite on there and get it stuck together. Can't wait to see what's going on at Cup. Never been able to go to an event, so I'm excited to see the players and just I don't know, just the whole entire, you know, experience really is. I'm just looking forward to it. I'm praying, because if it happens, I will be flying back home with it. That Method comes out with, they're rumored to be releasing a marker with DLX. And if that's the case, I will certainly be purchasing it. I am a huge Method fan. I've contemplated picking up the Era, but I want the whole bottom-up new platform from Method. And I know it's in combination with DLX, but I think it's going to be really exciting from what I hear. And I'm hoping and praying that it ends up getting released at Cup, but, you know, is there a guarantee? No. Unfortunately. Just taking a quick look at everything. Good Lord, that's a lot of greasy oil. I feel like I did recently just do this. Yeah, it's still pretty well greased. So I'm probably not going to take this pipe out. There are 2 O-rings in here that I think that you should, there's still grease on it, so I'm not going to. I did this recently, actually, the transfer tube, the air transfer tube. This is essentially the ATP pipe that was like here. They made it internal. So this is important. This is your solenoid portion, you know, transfers the air from the solenoid up through to the body of the gun, and then of course into your bolt system. Just taking a look, gonna clean it out. It's not, you know, it's just old kind of dirty grease. I'm just gonna re-grease it, re-clean it, and then get it mounted back in there. Everything else is pretty solid on here. I'm not going to take the feed neck off, although there is kind of some paint in there. I just don't want to deal with it. There looked to be some stuff in here. I don't know if it was just extra grease or what. Looks like paint. I don't know. Oh, I did actually, I finally broke, I had a paint breaking. I, you know, never had a problem with it, but man, I bought some whack paint, or it was old whack paint. Something that notoriously everybody on the field had an issue with, and I brought it back from, you know, I think it was 2 months old already, and it was already bad when we all originally got it the first time. And I shot maybe like a couple balls through it, and I was like, nah, it's fine, guys. Like, everything's all good. And then, you know, the rest of the day was just turned into a little blend fest. Little pin. It is the black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow. All I'm doing is getting to the solenoid. I can't really remember the last time I did it. It probably hasn't been that long, to be completely honest. This is also the reason why I have this pick set, which I don't utilize for actual picks. So, okay, this is brass. This will not mar your other brass. Really, a lot of things. It is softer than a lot of stuff. These are like steel, and these will scratch basically and dig holes into anything. So, you know, you have your 2 different options. I would definitely pick up a set of these. They are bendy and flexible, so you can bend them if you're prying too hard on it. This is rigid, hard. So for anything like pin popping or pulling like this, I use it to pull the plug out because it's a huge pain in the nuts. And I try not to pull on the wires as much as possible. I have to get up and over this one a little bit. Sometimes I also use a little flathead. There we go. These little connectors are annoying. I'm just getting a close look at it. I try to be super gentle with that. I probably do this maintenance too often, which almost assuredly will bite me in the ass. I can almost guarantee that it will cause me a problem in the future. I can foresee that either in this connection here or in just the wires themselves from being bent or routed back. But mainly in here, I have a feeling that that's where I'm going to have a problem. So I don't really know what the solution is there, like tweezers or something. But let's go ahead and get this solenoid out. After that, you should be able to just kind of gravity drop it out. I like to take the wires, just feed them back a little over a bit. Yeah. Just make sure they don't get caught on anything. Of course, they're caught immediately. Now, I don't know if you remember or if you even watched it, but my MXR video, see what I was talking about with like the routing of the solenoid? So here's planets, right? It sits in the gun like this. See the wires, they come out on this side, they come straight down, and the plug is on this side. That makes sense. That makes 100% complete sense. Now, on the MXR, if you remember, it was mounted like this. This wire came out and around from the other side to get plugged in on the back end of the board here. So there was a lot of tension and forces being applied to these wires constantly because of the way that the solenoid was mounted and positioned in relation to the board. And then it made a full 360-degree wraparound to come fish down into the body and get plugged into the board. This, significantly less forces being applied to your wires, less twisting, less pulling. I mean, right? It just makes sense. I feel like I just did this. I feel like there's all the grease that I just did it with. I mean, the gun's been running real smooth, so I don't have a necessity to do this per se. Just figured, why not? But this is taking a really long time. Maybe I'll skip the solenoid. No, I won't skip the solenoid. I want to skip the solenoid, but I'm not going to. At least I'll know that everything's done. Oh boy. Just get my handy dandy screwdriver. To my understanding, these are not supposed to be super, super tight, but I could be wrong there. Don't lose the screws. Wipe off that excess grease. There's your solenoid pilot. And there's going to be more screws. again, don't lose the little screws. I'm gonna just drop these in there so I can't lose them. All right. Now your little cover comes off. Again, there is a seal in here, so it is something that I like to keep greased. Again, just like to keep all the seals healthy. So you see that there is a seal right there, that little ring with the circle on top. There's a rubber seal right here. I try to put a little bit of grease on those just to keep it, again, healthy. I'm gonna just take this out so I don't accidentally lose it while I'm doing this. If you want, you can, because again, there is, pop out your SFR. This is the time where you would be swapping it. And then there is, you know, grease on there. This isn't, what I was told isn't a air sealing O-ring, but I don't think that's true. All right, and now to get out your spool, you're gonna take one of the little tiny screws. Make sure you don't cross-turn it. Just lightly thread it in. Then you can pull. Now I like to keep it on here, and then you're gonna take a look inside. Everything's all good. Take a Q-tip in there, just clean everything out. A little bit of schmutz. That's all right. Nothing too big. Just gonna wipe off the valve. Inspect any damage. If these are nicked in any way, you know, it'll definitely cause you issues. These are really, really, really tiny O-rings, so. Don't know why I'm using this right now, actually. I never do, usually. Or for this. I want there to be like, I want to get it underneath. So I like to spin the O-ring. Yeah, there we go. Nice. I try really not to make this too heavily greased, but as you can see, it does blow out grease. So I'm sure whatever is excessive gets blown out pretty quickly. Sorry. Just realized that I was super off camera for that. I was just, sorry, really, really focused in. Try to leave that channel clear. Again, the brass is non-marring. So and the last one on the end here. It's kind of annoying to do, I'm not gonna lie, because it spins and rotates. Not the way that you want it to, though. All right. I am pleased with that now at this point in time, so. Take it, and you're just gonna place it right back in through. Just super gentle, don't force anything. Once you're there, it'll go right back through. I like to reset it to the top and just unscrew the screw back out. Don't lose that. Now at this point in time, this is where I had intended on using this. Use the tool to just get little bits amount on there. Yeah, not a ton, but it's enough to keep it healthy. Just want to keep everything healthy. The little nubs here line up for those holes. So you can't, or, you know, they try to make it so that you can't mess it up. You're just gonna line up the nubs with the holes. You take your 2 little screws and they go on the bottom. I'm not going to tighten any one side down until I both have them, or until I have them both down, you know, snug. Once they're both snug, then I tighten them down. And I was told again, or from what I read online, not super duper duper tight. So I'm gonna get, like I said, a little bit in here. Now for this, I like to drop the screws in first. Solenoid lines back up. In with one side till it's snug. In with the other side. All right. Don't want to see any lifting. You never noticed how that lines up to the side like that? Interesting. It's a little offset. All right, and then honestly, this is getting to the end. Probably could have done this a lot quicker, but you know, the rambling of random thoughts and whatnot. Oops. Is it the wrong side? No, this side. It's gonna fall on me. Huh? Let's try to get that back in before it does. All right. Now routing. Just want to make sure the wires come down through nice and clean. Make sure they're not causing or being bent. Any pressure. Should feel the seal, which is not. Did it fall out? Can't tell if that seal's out or in. I can see it's not there on the bottom of the solenoid, so I have to make sure that it sat in. I think that is one of my recommendations, to put that seal in first. I assumed it was down there, just wanted to double check. Make sure that it was seated properly. Very good. And then back in. No big deal. Not a huge issue, very simple. In and out. Makes all the sense. And you just want to make sure you get the pin back in, so it don't slide back out on you. You're all set there. You can very gently and carefully put your connector back in. And then these get routed under like that. Simple, clean, easy. Last thing you have is this. Snap that in. Boom, just like that, the whole bottom half is done. Just gonna wipe off the rest of the grease here on the inside. Clean. God, thing's beautiful. All right, and now the very last portion of it is going to be the vortex drive. Let's get that out of the way. All these eye covers. Let's get that. They did make the maintenance on this significantly easier than the stock core. There's a lot less to take apart. It comes apart a lot easier. A lot less, I think, O-rings to maintain as well. Normally, I don't do the back as often because every time I open it, it's super healthy. There's tons of grease. So I'm sure it'll be the same. I don't remember the last time I opened the back, but I guarantee you that if I open it now, it'll be fine. So let's get started here. I do like to remove this tip. I think it is, I'm not sure if it's necessity, but it eats up a lot of the grease when you pop it back through from the inside O-rings. Additionally, there is flashing on these that I think tends to be sharp, and it can nick your O-ring as well on the inside. So if you're having some issues, that could potentially be a cause. I'm not saying that it is a cause, but it's something to look at. Take this vortex core apart from the back. There is a spring back here, so there is pressure. You just want to make sure you're not losing it. dingy little. And I will clean this up as well. I think this just snapped on. I'm just gonna clean that off. Gross. Dirty mouth, clean it up a little bit. Yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of dirty grease back here, that's for sure. Super dirty. So I rarely clean that piece, that's for damn sure. It's not something I'm ever concerned with. Yes, I will give it a little bit of the grease though. I know it does have a function back here. There's also some friction on that end, so I'm just gonna put a light coating, help it out. All right, nice shiny spring. That's the back, has a bumper in there. Comes apart pretty easily. You know, it's never unscrewed on me, but also that seal is so loose. The seal on the sail here seems very loose, but all right. So that's how the vortex core comes apart, and it's, oops, sorry, I'll bump that up for you. It's different components. It is, at least in my opinion, I mean, it's not really an opinion, it's easier to maintain. It's just faster, easier, there's not as many things going on. You know, I did just do this, so it kind of sucks to be redoing it so recently, or so soon, but I have a scenario tomorrow at AG Paintball in New Hampshire, which I'm also super thrilled about. There's going to be a bunch of people there from the community, just in general, and I think it's going to be a great day out. It's Dungeons and Dragons, if I'm not mistaken. Which I'm not, you know, I'm not a big D&D guy. I'm just there for the paintball and the people, which is A-okay with me. Dungeons and Dragons, I mean, hey, I'm a nerd. We're all nerds, I think. I feel like we are. Paintball community is pretty nerdy. So I'll just clean that up. Clean this up. You have bumpers on here that don't need grease, so just keep that in mind. There are bumpers that do not need grease in here. This is a bumper that does not need grease. There's another one. This is a bumper that does not need grease. There's one more somewhere. Nope, that was it, sorry. Yeah, so bumpers that don't need grease. This one. This does not need grease. Don't grease that. Guess it's fine if you get it a little greasy, but you don't have to grease it, don't grease it. Now, when you have it fully apart, the way that I like to do it is do it from the back, you know, first. So you do this part, put this back in, and then screw it into the back cap. And then you just have the front half, which is super easy. Again, they made this. It's a phenomenal bolt system. Method did a great job with it. Method and Twister. I think they did a phenomenal job with this system. Love the way that it shoots. I personally don't have issues with it. Some people have had issues with it. I swear by this thing. My buddy, unfortunately, hasn't really gotten his to work that well, which I feel like is such a shame because the R5 is, and even stock core is one of the best shooting guns I think on the market. He has also the R5 listed very high. He has a lot of markers. He has the R5 listed. I think he said it was 1 or 2. It's either the LV2 or the R5 that fights for the top spot. So it was, if I recall correctly, his list was R5, LV2, and then DSR. And then it was the Idol CS3, or no, the SFL autococker. He has a really nice Desert Fox autococker, and he said that has a better shot than the CS3, which I believe. I don't really like the CS3 shot. I'm not a huge fan of it, which is why, like I said, I got the R5 in the first place, and then I picked up the MXR. Unfortunately, I just, I have no confidence in the MXR. I liked the platform. I just don't have any confidence in it sitting in my bag and then having to use it. So I think because of that, I think there was one day where I ended up needing to use it, and it just had not, it had shit the bed basically. So I was pretty disappointed about that. When you have to go use something, when you don't want to use something by choice, it's one thing. When you need to go use something and then it doesn't work, that sucks. Hey, what the fuck, yo? Motherfucker. Not sure how far down this actuates. Fuck. First time I've experienced that, but I guess there's a sharp edge somewhere there. It's annoying. Son of a bitch. Fuck. Yo, stop playing with me right now. Nah, I know you fucking lying. What is that? Nah, what the fuck is in here? What is caught up in here? Damn. What the fuck? Damn. I can't see anything, but something in here just like nicked my and then deeper inside too. I don't see anything, can't feel anything, and that feels sharp. But no, what the fuck? I should go books. That's quite frustrating. I had this thing like pristine. I don't know what just caused that. Okay, I'm going to try back in, no debris. Just nice and even through it. Feels smooth, but God, what the fuck was that? Ah, that's incredibly frustrating. What in the fuck is happening? Good Lord. Oh my God. I'm having so many problems putting that back on. I don't know why. I have to get this relubed again because I basically ate it all off by the time I had been done investigating that. Just want to make sure there's a healthy amount here, that's for sure. This is high friction area, although I don't feel like it makes a really solid contact. I'm curious if I should change this seal to something else. Alright, I'll work on the outside once I'm complete. Inside, what I'm gonna do is get a pretty good amount. I like to get on this inside one. There's two in here. One's a bumper, which you don't technically need, I guess. Do grease the bumper anyway, a little bit. I mean, at least it inadvertently gets on it anyway. Want a real good healthy amount there. We got another high friction area. Before the bolt goes back in, just get this over. Nothing rides on here, just on this and on the inside. So gently drop that in, push it through, hold the end, pop your tip back in. just gonna hit these two outside ones and then reassemble it. This video's gotten really quite long, so I think I'm gonna end it there with the gun as it sits right now. You don't need to watch me put it back together. I assume if you've gotten this far, you know how to do that. This is just more of like just another video to put out there. I'm not expecting anything out of this. I just more so enjoy it and certainly enjoy talking paintball stuff. So if anybody has any questions, I of course have opinions. I can't tell you, you know, I'm certainly not an engineer and I don't make paintball guns, but I have a lot of opinions about the things that I feel, open, look at, touch, shoot, fire, you know, etc., etc. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to talk shop anytime. Yeah, I'll make some more. Maybe I'll make I think, you know, I do have some more pieces coming from Method for the stock core. They made a tune-up kit for it. It'll make it shoot a little bit differently. And I kind of wanted to do a comparison stock versus the tune-up kit, which is the stock with the Method pieces and then the Vortex core, and just kind of see which and where I prefer to be. I like to do the tinkering and stuff, as you know, from MXR. I'd like to do it when it's a choice and when I'm modifying it, not when it's by necessity because it's not functioning properly. So yeah, I guess stay tuned. I'm gonna try to make some more here and there. It's kind of hard. It's usually noisy around here, but I had some quiet time where I was able to get this in. Again, sorry for the length of it. It ended up being a lot longer, but I'll definitely catch you guys around.